before we go to the questions and answers I've got, I'd like to read this to you. Any of us who face death or pain understands this beautiful poem. There is a brokenness out of which comes the unbroken, a shatteredness out of which blooms the unshatterable. There is a sorrow beyond all grief which leads to joy, and a fragility out of whose depths emerges strength. There is a hollow space too vast for words through which we pass with each loss, out of whose darkness we are sanctioned into being. There is a cry deeper than all sound, whose serrated edges cut the heart as we break open to the place inside which is unbreakable and whole while learning to sing. It's beautiful, isn't it? And really that is what I call alchemy. When I have seen in my life people go through a really difficult and painful situation, extremely painful, if they have this spiritual knowledge, and of course they're going to grieve in the beginning, of course they're going to cry, of course there's going to be some suffering, but if they come to terms with it spiritually and slowly learn to accept, I have seen again and again, it takes them to a new level of consciousness, to a beauty and joy beyond words, because now they have understood that nothing is permanent. And now they have understood the importance of living this impermanent life beautifully. And out of the pain and out of the ugliness and out of the sorrow, with spiritual knowledge, they reach what I call a magical place of new kind of happiness. It's different. It's not the happiness we wanted from getting something or something belonging to us. It's a happiness that's a deep friendship, a deep love, a deep kindness, a deep feeling for mankind. It's beyond expression. And when you change that pain into someone else's gain, then the alchemy, the magic that happens is love. It is love in every single form that you can know it. So let's get to the questions that we have tonight. What is the proper way to prepare yourself for death? Thank you. The proper way to prepare yourself for death is to make friends with it. To constantly remind yourself that you are spirit having a physical human experience. Every time you get caught up in something, you find yourself getting possessive. You find yourself, I need this in order to be happy. Then think, do I really need it? Because when I die, I'll have to leave it all behind. Is it worth fighting for? I'll tell you a story that happened to me. I lived in a small apartment, and I've always wanted my own home and a bigger home. I finally got this penthouse in Portland, and when I got there, I've been practicing yoga for quite some time already, and I think we had the center opened after. I was working from the temple and teaching at the temple, and so of course I'd already tried to learn about subjects like non-attachment. And I was pretty good. I was getting pretty good not getting attached to things. The first night, I thought I wasn't attached. So the first night I get to this home, you know what happens to me? I have a nightmare. I hadn't had a nightmare for years since I practiced yoga. And suddenly I have this nightmare that the apartment I'm living in, my brand new home, is all on fire. And then I wake up and I go, ah! And I go, uh-oh, Nalanie, you just moved in and you already got attached. Why? I go, how did I know I was attached? The moment you get attached, you fear losing it. fear comes in. The moment you get what you want, what is the next step? I got what I want. What if I should lose it? And I noticed this. So the next morning, I got up, went around the house. There's a practice called neti, which means nothing is mine. And so I got up and I go, when I die, this body will also leave me. So I'm not my body, right? I was telling you the first lesson, just keep repeating this. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am. Again, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am. So it was like singing that in my head. Then I went to the house, all over the home, sofa, kitchen, everything. Finally got the kitchen of my dream and I go, you know what? Nothing is mine. Kitchen, you're not mine. All on loan, and all on loan to serve others. So, one day it will go, and it did go. and it's okay. It's okay. Nothing is mine. Nothing is mine. Everything is on loan. And that was such a nice practice. Because when the time came when I had to sell it because of financial reasons, it was so easy. It was so easy to sell it. It was so easy to let things go. And I thought, if I can't let go of something material, how am I going to let go of my body when the time comes? So how do you prepare yourself? By talking to yourself, by understanding. Also, like I said in the first talk 3 weeks ago, study about death and dying. And nowadays you don't even have to study, just go on the YouTube and Google death and dying. Start to learn, and you will see again and again and again, nobody is exempt. We are all going to die. So get used to the thought. Also prepare yourself, as you never know when you're going to go. When people get really, really sick and maybe they have stage 4 cancer or some other illness, I have noticed they're very scared to talk about the reality. And many times, it's not a job sometimes I like, when people are kind of so far, they don't even want to talk about death, and death is right at their door, and they don't want to talk about it. And I've been in that situation many times, and I feel, no, I'm going to bring it up. So I bring it up, and, no, Nalanie, no, I don't want to talk about it because she's not going to die, or he's not going to die. I said, of course not. So long as you have hope, we pray for the best and we hope for the miracle. But one day we're all going to die, even me. But it's wisdom. It is wisdom to prepare for the worst and know that the best can happen. And after that, they listen to me. That's what I always say. I said, anyway, one day you have to write a will, right? So you don't want at the last minute that you're worried, I didn't write a will, I didn't sort out the bank account, I didn't forgive this person who'd hurt me, I didn't say sorry to the person who'd hurt me. Do it now. How do you prepare yourself? I think every morning, before I start my meditation, this could be my last day. If it was, how would I like to live? How would you like to live if it was your last day? How would you like to live?
Happy.
I said, why didn't I give this away? And why didn't I give this away? And why didn't I tell this to this person? And why did I worry about not giving a book or something somebody loved? I'm not going to have it. People are going to fight over it. Oh no. Do you know what I'm saying? You think about so many things and you go, and people do this. I wish I'd done this before. So these are the little things that we can do while we are living. And read about the subject. It's really very interesting. So some beautiful books out. There's Dr. Raymond Moody's, the one that comes to mind. He was one of the first doctors to write about death and dying because being a doctor, he saw many people die for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and even 1 hour, even half a day, and then they come back to life. And all of them more or less have the same journey. They all talk about, going through this tunnel and then seeing the light. And he noticed that, people who were Christian would see Lord Jesus, or some people would see the light, and people of a different tradition, if it's a Buddhist, we'll see Buddhism, we'll see Buddha, somebody else, would see Krishna or Lord Shiva. And that's what he noticed. He noticed that everybody went through that dark tunnel, then to light. And when they were on the other side, all of them remembered feeling wonderful, wonderful. free, easy, no body, no pain, and didn't want to come back. So listen to talks on death and dying. Well, you are doing this here with me too. So, and then you're not so scared. It's not so scary. And I've experienced so many deaths in my life, So it's not so scary when you talk about it, when you open up. It's really frightening when we all try to pretend it hasn't happened or hope it didn't happen. And death is a horrible thing. No, it's not a horrible thing. You're going to see everybody again one day. That's what you want. You are going to see them. It's not permanent. Death is just graduation. I love that word. It's just a graduation to another degree that we have to face,
You even get a diploma.
Pardon?
You even get a diploma.
Yes.
A certificate.
Did you hear her, Joe? You got a death certificate. You got a diploma, she said. That was a good one, Chandra. You're quick. Yeah, that's right. You get a death certificate. Absolutely. So that's how you prepare yourself, by laughing and talking about death. And people, we move on. We know, we keep saying we're impermanent, we're soul, and when it comes to death, we act as if, how can it happen to me? How can it happen to me? It's going to happen to all of us. So prepare. I think it's really important to prepare. It's really important to prepare every day of your life. Make amends with anybody that has hurt you or you have hurt. Forgive any harm that has happened to you in this life. Learn to forgive, because soul language is love and forgiveness. As like he said, start to do all those things every single day in your life. I think this is why I love the yoga practices, because the one thing that when I first sat down to meditate, the one thing I noticed was, what came up in my mind? Anger. I was angry at so many people. You know what came in my mind? Oh, negative thoughts. And I thought I was a good person. I never even knew I had those thoughts of anger. Yes, I was angry, but I felt I had every right to be angry. But what I couldn't see were those angry thoughts were quite hateful and carried heavy energy. So the first thing I had to do was start to forgive all those people I thought had caused me pain. And how did I see it? I saw it, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing this practice. They were my teachers. They were my gurus. If I didn't suffer this pain, I wouldn't know how to forgive. Thank God, those souls chose to be so horrible to me. Poor guys, what a bad part to choose in a movie. I'd rather be the heroine. They chose to be the villain so I could grow up. Don't you think that's kind? Because ultimately, it's all parts. Without Judas, there would be no Jesus, right? Do you know the story of Jesus? If you didn't have a Judas, where would the story of Jesus be? Do you see? We need the hero and we need the villain, because we live in a world of duality. And the villain makes the hero. And that's the truth. And when you look at it in a higher dimension, it is all love. And all this play on earth is because, we wanted to know who we were. We wanted to touch, we want to feel, we want to taste. But then what happened to all this? We were brought so that we could be children of God, enjoying for God. What is God? Energy. Energy had to occupy a body, so gave us 5 senses so we could enjoy things. But instead, we became greedy, we got addicted, we became possessive. We wanted ownership, destroy the world. We were given the gift of love, we were given the gift of being human, we were given the gift of holding each other's hand and loving each other and laughing through life. Yeah, you get the small, argument, whatever, no big deal. But we took it all too personally. We became so personalized. We became so selfish. It is all about I, me, and mine. And we lost the plot. We just lost the plot. There's no God punishing us. There's nothing like that. That's all created here on man's word to hold us in control. We are really free. And this is the practice of yoga. To know that we are free while we live. Guilt, fear, worry, Bhagavad Gita says, takes you far from the divine connection. Every time you're in guilt, fear, worry, how do you feel? Separated, uncomfortable. But every time you're in love, joy, peace, how do you feel? Joined, not separated. Love. Do you see? We do it to ourselves. Nobody does it to us. We came on this planet knowing that one day we have to go. Each one has their own time. So, when, how, we don't know. So prepare. Understand this concept, so when the time comes, you are ready. Be kind, be kind, be kind. That's all I can say, not only to others, to yourself. Allow yourself to forgive, let go, and be happy. The divine is happy. If you thought of a God, of an existence of God, for those who have religions and believe in a figure, would you not think of that God as happy? Or would you think of it, I'm going to punish you, you better be miserable. Your brother died, your sister died, your friend died, you better stay on this earth and suffer. Do you think that's going to happen? So why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we do that to ourselves? We wouldn't even do that to our children. And we think, of this energy will do this to us. We must be a little crazy. The conditioning is not common sense. You just have to think and you can see what is the truth. It's for everybody to see. What I'm telling you is just the truth without all this preconditioning. As a mother, do I want to see my daughter suffer? No, I wouldn't. So you think this God wants to see you? I mean, where did you get that nonsense from? Being miserable for the rest of your life because you've lost somebody. How ridiculous. Sing, laugh. You'd want your daughter, if your daughter or your son lost somebody, wouldn't you want them to start again? Wouldn't you want them to laugh? Wouldn't you want them to play? So why don't you want that for yourself? So all this is preconditioning. And for what? For what? Who's going to benefit at the end? Another miserable person on this earth? We don't need another one. We really don't need another miserable person. We need more happy people in this world to give hope. So that's how you prepare. I hope I've answered your question. Can you please explain what happens to the soul of a person who commits suicide? And what do you say to the family of a person who has committed suicide to comfort them? That they are not responsible. That's what I would say to the family. We cannot be responsible, none of us, for somebody else's action. We feel guilt. We feel responsible because it came to our family. And parents, this is really a sad thing to do. So anybody committing suicide, don't. Because think about the people you leave behind. They live with this guilt. Why didn't I see the signs? It's very little you can say to comfort them, because it takes years for them to forgive themselves. I have dealt with quite a few people whose children have committed suicide. One lady, her son died committed suicide at the age of 18. She had a daughter, younger daughter, but of course the relationship with the daughter was horrendous, because she spent, until the time she met me, she spent all that time grieving for the child that committed suicide, blaming herself. So she actually, she was divorced, and she actually met somebody married this person, had another child with him, but still never experienced joy and peace. She felt responsible. And he had gone to India, and what happened was he was trying to find his spirit and his soul, but he wanted to find it through drugs. And he couldn't find it through drugs, so he got a little bit disturbed, and he took one too many, because he wanted to kill himself. He was in a very agitated, she knew that he was in a very agitated state because he called her. So she had to fly over to India, but by the time she got there it was too late. So you can imagine how she felt. So the only thing I could do is really tell her the things I tell you here about death and dying, and we don't know why people do those things. It happens. Maybe it's their dharma. Not to blame, just to pray. Pray for light. Pray that the soul reaches light. Pray that the soul that has left was in a very sad place, that guides will help this soul to move to a better place. And that's all we can do. I said, sorrow doesn't help the dying soul, but love does. So send your love to that dying soul. Send your love, and send all your ancestors who have died to help this soul. And that's what I tell them. And then to forgive. If they feel responsible, to start forgiving themselves. You need to deal with these things quickly so that they don't fester into poison and affect somebody else's life. And another thing I'd like to say, what happens to people who commit suicide? My master told us, Swami Satchidananda told me this when I asked him this very same question. He said, what is the state of the mind of somebody who wants to commit suicide? What is the state of the mind?
Desperation.
Desperation, dark, lost, all these things. And where does the feeling of suicide come from? Of not being happy in this life, or not fulfilling one's need in this life, or not getting what one wants in this life, right? Correct. So he said, what happens is they kill their body and they think that they can be free. But what has happened? The soul has moved from the body, but it still has the same problem. It still has the same problem. So it will go into a place where there are problems. And now that soul no longer has the body to fix that problem. So while you're alive, no matter how bad the problem is, you have a body to fix it. But when you die, you no longer can fix the problem. So of course that soul is taken to a place of darkness for a little while, because as you think, you will become. Until there are guiding lights, and this is where prayer works, because you're sending energy and light, and the guide, when that soul has gone through that, as you sow you reap in the other realm, it will eventually be picked up by a guide and given a chance to come back to the earth again, to start again, and this time hopefully get the problem solved before they kill themselves. So, many times in my life people come to me when they're sad. Of course, what do they want to do? I want to kill myself. I said, you really want to do that? You think you got a problem now? Think twice. And I tell them this story. And do you know how many times they've come back and said, I don't want to kill myself. At least I have a body to fix it. I said, yeah, that's the spirit. It's all love. We just have to face our karmic actions. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It's a scientific law. As you sow, you reap. What you cause, you have to face the effect. When the effect is finished and purged, then newness comes again. Just cause and effect. But everybody is saved in the end. Everybody. We're all one consciousness. We're all one consciousness. So ultimately, we'll all be saved. Okay? From here to heaven, after death, when does it begin to become a spirit? We are all spirit. You don't become spirit. We are already spirit. Our human body is just a costume. So always spirit. And the practice that we do of meditation is to remind us just that we are spirit. And once you know it, you know you are spirit, having a human existence. So you will always be in heaven. And this is really what the Our Father is all about. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So if we can live beautifully on earth, we are already in heaven because we have recognized we are spirit. I hope that answers your question.